Back filming this live on Twitch. Well, when we're recording it. YouTube later. This isn't live. I know a lot of people watch these videos when they premiere and they're like, oh, we're live. No, we're not live. This is past Tank. But we're here to talk about another extremely hot take from Dave Mustaine, which is not a surprising statement to make anymore. I couldn't believe this actually when I just saw it because it's just, it's so disconnected and delusional, I think. We've talked about a lot of things that Dave Mustaine has said before that I thought were really out there and ignorant and just disconnected from fans. But this latest one, I was just like, dude, this guy, I don't know, man. This will be fun because I haven't told anybody in chat what we're doing yet. So here we go. Dave Mustaine says it's unfair for fans to complain about rising concert ticket prices. All right, let's dive in. So this article was originally published on We Are the Pit about an hour before we're filming this. That's why this is going to be funny. The article says over the past few years, the live music industry has experienced various economic impacts. Not only is it expensive for bands to be on the road, but the price of concert tickets has also increased in some cases. For quite a while, folks have voiced frustration regarding rising ticket prices, with some pointing fingers at Ticketmaster for their tacked on fees. But when it comes to these complaints, Megadeth frontman Dave Mustaine is of the mind that it's unfair to complain. Mustaine says, even if you had a choice in the matter, it's kind of what it is nowadays if you want to go see a live band. That statement in and of itself is actually kind of accurate. I mean, it kind of is what it is, but we'll talk about why it is what it is in a little bit, which kind of sucks. In a new conversation with the SDR show, Mustaine gets into a variety of discussions. Among the topics brought up, the Megadeth frontman is asked if it's true that a single day of touring costs a band 50 grand, even if they aren't doing anything. Remember, we had a video on that too, where Dave Mustaine said it costs $45,000 a day. He actually said they lose $45,000 a day when they don't play a show, which I still think is ridiculous. I don't believe it. I would like to see those numbers because I know how much it costs to go on tour. I tour manage and I've added it up and I'm like, even buying everybody hotel rooms and if everybody's on weekly salary and stuff like that, that's a lot of money. But I digress. Let's get back to this. So in this interview, Dave explained why those costs are so high, all the people that they bring out, the buses, the trucks, the hotel rooms, all that stuff. The article continues by saying, following this explanation, the Megadeth frontman goes on to talk about how he feels it's unfair to complain about rising ticket prices. He says, quote, so the cost just keeps going up and up and up. And a lot of people look at the ticket price and they think, man, I'm not paying $75 to go see these guys. And it's unfair to say that. Even if you had a choice in the matter, it's kind of what it is nowadays. If you want to go see a live band, because you just can't get from point A to point B anymore without spending a lot of money. Well, for me, personally, my sentiment about that statement, him saying it's unfair for patrons to complain, is extremely disconnected. Very disconnected from the fans and the crowds and stuff like that. But we can extrapolate more. What do you guys think in chat? It sounds entitled. Yeah, Salandros just says it sounds entitled. I agree with that as well. Duke John says, I understand what he means, but it's worded poorly. So let's jump into that, because I want to discuss why I think it's so disconnected is because on the flip side of all of this, the fans complaining about ticket prices, I guarantee you him and other bands, or he and other bands rather, are probably complaining about the prices that they have to pay for stuff too. So I think it's kind of hypocritical because I hear bands complain about the cost of touring all the time. And then to say that the fans can't complain about ticket prices is kind of ridiculous too. And this all comes down to not just inflation, but the cost of post-pandemic touring and Ticketmaster jacking up prices and fees and stuff like that. It's all a trickle-down effect on everything. The cost of touring is expensive right now. It's crazy. Bus prices are ridiculous. Semi-truck prices are higher than they've been. Gear rentals are higher than they've ever been. So what happens with that is that because it's more expensive for the bands to tour, it's going to cost more money for a promoter, say Live Nation or something like that, to put on a show to cover the costs of doing that show and for the band to make money. Because of that, Ticketmaster raises the prices for the show. They've already got all of their stupid fucking fees on top of everything else so they can make money anyways. They're going to take a merch cut from the band. So yeah, the price of the ticket is going to be higher. And then it gets passed to the fans. So for the fans to go see these shows, they're going to have to pay more. And because of merch fees and stuff like that, bands are going to have to pay more for merch. So that's the problem here. On the totem pole of touring, from the promoters to the bands to the gear companies to everything, the patrons, the people paying to see these shows are at the bottom. Everything gets passed to them. So I would say that makes it okay for them to complain about ticket prices, because at the end of the day, the fans are the ones that are getting shafted the hardest for the most part. I know there's probably some band members out there that'll hear those words come out of my mouth and be like, disagree hard. That's not to say bands aren't getting shafted. Because again, I tour manage, I see finances, I know how expensive it is to tour. I get it. It sucks right now. But at the end of the day, what happens if there are no fans that can afford going to shows? These bands wouldn't be making money to tour anyways. So I think it's kind of a ridiculous statement to make that it's unfair, because I guarantee you he's complaining about the cost of touring. I mean, he fucking is complaining about the cost of touring. He's going on podcasts talking about how much fucking money they're losing. So why is it okay for him to complain about money, but the fans can't complain about getting shafted on ticket prices and merch prices too? And I say shafted on merch prices because one thing I do want to bring up that I'm kind of fucking annoyed with all these bands out there that gripe about merch fees all the time. Remember when Live Nation did their On the Road Again announcement and said that certain venues aren't going to charge more or charge merch fees anymore for bands, and they're going to give them extra cash? And I said in that video that we talked about that, now that these certain Live Nation venues aren't charging merchandise fees, now is the time for these bands to put their fucking money where their mouth is. Because if bands don't bring down their prices, that tells you right there that the bands were full of shit too. For all the bands out there that have been using the defensive merchandise fees for why their merch is so expensive, well, we'd love to sell it for less, but we can't because there's fees. What are you going to do now? And I've talked to many of you guys that have been going to all of these shows at these venues that have no merch fees, and guess fucking what? The merch prices are exactly the same. So it's not fucking merch fees. That's not what it is at all. Bands just wanted to make more money. They're still charging the same amount for shirts with no merch fees, so now they're making a little more, which on one hand I'm fine with. I'm fine with bands making the money from it. They deserve it. There should be no merch fees. Like, they deserve that shit anyways. But it upsets, it kind of, or not upsets, but it kind of bothers me that a lot of these bands did use merch fees as the crutch for their high merch prices, but now that there are no merch fees at some of these club venues, they never lowered their prices. So it's kind of shitty, to be honest. Peyote Coyote in chat said, let's flip this. What would your take be if he said it's fair to complain? I agree. It is fair to complain about ticket prices right now. It's nuts. Not only just the face value of some of the tickets, but because Ticketmaster's system is so easy for scalpers and bots to buy tickets and then put them on the resale market. I saw somebody the other day tell me that this upcoming North American Electric Callboy Tour, the regular face value tickets for the show at the Fillmore in Silver Springs, Maryland, are sold out already. And they're already on secondary websites for 4 times the fucking amount. So you can see from this how the resale market can get quite insane. And the crazy thing is, because that's resale, the bands aren't making any of that money. Somebody else has bought those tickets and are profiting off it. It's become a business in its own. So I guess the major takeaway for this for me is, like, there are a lot of things wrong with the music industry right now. And pretty much like everybody's getting screwed. Actually, let me rephrase that. I would say the bands and the fans are getting screwed. A lot of the promoters aren't. Live Nation sure isn't. G-Zig actually just made a good point in chat. If it is what people are willing to pay. And yeah, that's the thing. There are people willing to pay that. I don't have that kind of money. I don't. I could not spend $300 on a concert. Believe it or not, with all the YouTube money and Twitch money. Yeah, I'll never hate on anybody for spending the money they have. I see that a lot when people, like, I know we joked about it with Metallica. You know, who's going to spend $5,000 for VIP for Metallica? And I see a lot of people, like, ripping on those people, like, spend your money on something better. I'm like, hey man, if people have the money, if that's disposable income, who fucking cares what they spend it on? Let them have a good time and enjoy their life. But yeah, I just wanted to cover that because I personally think it's fine for fans to complain about that stuff. When they're at the bottom of the totem pole where all the fees and money is getting passed on to them for the most part, complain away, dude. Really. If it's that big of a deal and you can't afford going to a show, then just don't go to a show. But I don't think it's unfair, like Dave said, for fans to complain about any of that stuff. At the end of the day, they are the consumer. So their money is going into it. So complain away. I don't care. But what do you guys on YouTube think, man? If you made it through this video, let me know your thoughts in the comments. To everybody that was here on Twitch, thank you for being here. I appreciate it a ton. If you are on YouTube and you'd like to join us live for these conversations, you can go to twitch.tv/tankthetech. I'm also on a ton of different social media. @tankthetech is my handle on pretty much everything. But until next time, thank you guys again. Wherever you are in the world, be safe, be kind to each other. I love you all, and I will be back very soon with another video.